Just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Yep. Hello. No. I ain't no activist. I'm the protagonist. I don't go capping it. I fly solo like one pup in the cabinet. The cabin's the cabinet. They trust me and land in it. They call me the advocate. They'll slide like an abacus. Boy meets world. Everybody is savages. I just wanna really know how much it feels through the averages. I'm not no nice guy, I'm just a good guy. The bad guys should really stay on my good side. I smell my roses younger than the good die. The Illuminati couldn't see me with their good eye. They think they Heath Ledger scary, they just Jack Nichols. I'm assigned to my city like the bat signal. Young chosen ones, golden boy, De La Hoya. It ain't too many me's, rest in peace to Vern Troyer. I was younger than I seemed as a kid. I mean my G17, 18 in the head. I mean I'm only 25, but I'm Motown 25. Bet I get a statue in my hometown when I die. And Rom, you done. I'm expecting resignation and open investigation on all of these paid vacations for murderers. I don't get no paper, I got a sign at the bottom. Still in my bag like the prize at the bottom. And I can't do nothing right, they gon' always be at me. I miss a Crane's interview, they try leaking my addy. I donate to the schools next, they call me a deadbeat daddy. But sometimes getting that router business. I got a hit list so long I don't know how to finish. I bought to Chicago, it's just to run you racist bitches out of business. Speaking of racist, fuck your microaggressions. I'll make you fix your words like a typo suggestion. Pat me on the back too hard and pat a axe for your job. Then in unrelated news, I'm gonna beat your ass at your job. I'm the real deal. Who taught all these rappers that the big deal's not a big deal? Inherited the earth popping willies on the big wheel. My enemy lives in his mother's basement. That's why my videos don't got no bathroom in product placement. I'm a real one. The honey is sweet, the apple's bitter. They'll try and convince you stronger without your woman and we will.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, it's a new life for me, yeah.
Turn on your mind now, tune into the feed. We're planting digital flowers from a single tiny seed. Yeah, power to the collective in the data. Soul, the hive mind's getting louder, finding voice and control.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I am very excited for this evening as we are about to do our first ever Hive Mind Roundtable. I have a link that is pinned at the top of the chat, so go ahead and click that. We will get through as many as we can. If you want to start lining up backstage, there's already a couple of people. I'll go over the rules here in a second, but I just want to say that while this might not be the most like bells and whistle style call-in, it is going to be the easiest. It's going to be something that I can do by myself where we don't have to worry about the audio. If somebody goes awry, I can kick them. And I'm genuinely curious to hear everybody's thoughts. So the general topic is going to be the Idaho 4. Like I said, all you have to do, you have to press that link at the top of the chat. It's free. Just know this. I can see a couple people backstage. I can see their cameras on. So if you just touch your camera button, it turns it off. I just need your audio. If you have your camera on, don't sweat it. Nobody can see you. And even when I add you to the stage, the only thing that people will see, or I'm sorry, they won't see anything. They will only hear your voice. So, for example, the Dot interview, how people just heard her voice, that's all anybody will hear for you as well. So don't worry about that. Super safe. I'm not going to put anybody on blast. It's hidden off the screen. I don't even know if I could change it right now, but the voice should come in loud and clear. Just know that backstage, I can see if you have your camera on. And with that, I want to say, you know, tonight, I really want this to be like powerful. You know what I mean? I woke up this morning and when I was at the gym, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do call-ins. People have asked for it. I've kind of shied away from it because I'm like, yeah, I've done the roundtables, but I think I'm going to see how this goes. I don't think it'll be a flop. Like, I know enough people will want to go backstage and chat. I just hope that people have, how could I say it? Because I know everybody has their own opinion. I just hope that it's like the right type of people that are joining when it comes to, you know what, you can disagree. Just if you get up here and you shit talk me, I don't really have any patience for it. So I'm going to kick you a little bit quicker than anything the mods would do in the chat. So before we do that, I'm going to jump right into plugging the channel. Okay. So right now, everybody just swipe down on the chat, hit the like button right now. Let's get a big initial pop from the likes. Let's get this out into the algorithm. I was posting about it, but then again, I also didn't plug this besides today. And we know that everybody has some sort of opinion on the Idaho 4. My goal is to set you all up for success. I'm going to give everybody about 2-3 minutes. So please, after hitting the like and the subscribe button, just real quick, you know, here's what I'm asking. Be concise, okay? I don't want to look like the asshole that kicks people off in the middle of their, you know, call-in. So try to think about what you're going to say. About 2-3 minutes, no background noise. So if you're like somewhere in public, just be smart about that. And if you threaten me or if you troll or if you spam, I'm just going to hide people from the channel. I'm going to kick them. And I don't like to do that. I don't do that in the chat. That obviously has to be an extreme. Okay. So with that being said, Hive, I want to just say what's up to everybody. Thank you to the people that are backstage. I could see you guys, so I don't know if you guys can see me, but you're good. So Bourbon Santa, Bella Misha, and like Diamond Faces, Bambi, Realize, Analyze. So like I see all you guys. You guys are in the right spot. We got Steph, Caleb, Karen, Luna, The Missing Logic, UFO Dog. Shout out to my mod. Daily Twin Flame, Love Tina, James Moen, Crime Spy, Bianca, The Real Terry Weed, Fiji, Steph, Ariana, Blue Rain 60, Essie, good to see ya. Jenny LaRusso. It's also a really fun name to say. Like Jenny LaRusso and Haley Muckenfuss, completely different usernames to say, but very fun to say. Amanda B from West Virginia. Tara B, 9019. Nene left the DNA already. JP Swanson said, let's go. It'll be nice to see Jeff H when he calls in. Oh man, you summoned Jeff H. But thank you for the super chat. That'll be worth it. Appreciate you. Rebecca Gaines, Shoe Booty, UK Karen, Cryptic Conversions, Reggie Luce, Luther Dare, Brenda Fry, Shoe Girl, good to see you. We got Kitey or Kitty, Kathy, Dana, Jeff H is here. Nice. Nice. Also, it's completely free to pop up. So as long as you can hang out for a few minutes backstage, you know, I'm not going to promise that I'll get through everybody. Like I plan on getting through a lot. So that's why I'm kind of going through this quickly. Please, nobody take offense to this if I cut you off. Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody feels heard. I'm going to see how this goes, and then hopefully we can do this very regularly. It'd actually be cool to have a segment of every stream of this. Type of one if you think that would be fun. I think that would be fun. And please share this out, like it. It's my last time I'm going to ask very quickly. Just stop typing and hit the like so we can get this out there. Yeah, a lot of ones in the chat. A lot of ones. So again, just a quick reminder for the rules. Be concise. You're going to have about 2 to 3 minutes. If you're in public, make a judgment call on your end. As far as if we're even going to be able to hear you, please do not threaten me or anybody. Don't troll. Don't spam. You're going to be good to go. I'm going to run the banner right now for about 20 seconds so that it gets all the way across in the beginning of this video. And then I'm going to start to bring people up. I got Bourbon Santa, who's going to be up first. And so I'm just going to wait for this to pass through. And it's almost done. It's kind of crawling by, but it's kind of important, you know. And also here, to anybody that pops up, you could say whatever you want. Please, this is uncensored, unfiltered. I don't care if you cuss accidentally. Just, you know, use your judgment. You guys are on, you know, you are a guest on the channel. Please keep that in mind. I kind of see some people, you know, backstage kind of nodding their head yes, like you guys understand. So, all right. Banner is done running. And with that being said, our first ever Hive Mind call-in is about to be Bourbon Santa. So I'm going to add him to the stage. Bourbon Santa, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you loud and clear. How's it going, Birdie?
It's going good. Let me just double check on my phone for you just because you're the first one. And we got you loud and clear, brother. How are you doing?
Boom. All right. Awesome. All right. So my thoughts on this case are very limited by some of the things that we know for a fact. We know for a fact that national security is involved in this case. We know that the U.S. Marshal showed up on scene. We know the FBI is involved in a cover-up. Now, none of the local corruption of Idaho, of Moscow, explains the federal government getting involved and going along with it. For there to be national security implications, we've got to be talking stuff crossing the border, human trafficking, drugs, cartel, whatever. And then the marshals being involved tells me, hey, we're looking at witness protection here. That's who runs witness protection, is the U.S. Marshal Service. So I think that what we're looking at is an exfiltration of undercover assets or informants. And I think maybe the guys who ended up in the hospital, the one with the broken legs, where they called the FBI, the injuries didn't match a car accident. What if he jumped off of that ledge in the back? Maybe they were interrupted coming there for a hit or something along those lines.
Great thought. I've never thought of that. What if the leg injuries were because he jumped?
Yep, off that ledge in the back. What if they were interrupted in the middle of showing up there? Maybe there was protection in the house. Maybe the undercover car showed up and interrupted. And then the person who was taken by the police to the hospital and then was violent. What if it was a 2-man hit squad? And then they brought in Koberger to be the fall guy. Maybe he was another informant, something along those lines to cover up the exfiltration of whoever was in that house. that they wanted or needed to protect.
Dude, I got to tell you, out of the entire time that I've been thinking about this case, I've never thought about the jumping off the ledge, because you know how people have said they can't find any record of the car accident on that day, right?
Yep.
Damn.
100%. And then too, something that you brought up the other day that I found super interesting was the reference to The Princess Bride, because there's a lot of stuff in that movie. You need to watch it. She gets kidnapped in that movie. There's basically human trafficking in that movie. There are mercenaries in that movie. There's assassins in that movie. And then one of the main characters, Wesley, dies, but he's only mostly dead. So mostly dead, they're pretending these people are dead while they're in maybe police protective custody or witness protection. And that could explain some of the cryptic things that Steve G says. I paid that price. He lost his daughter into protective custody. She's not dead, but he lost his daughter. And until the case is over, or whatever this parallel FBI investigation is about is over, and then they can testify or whatever, and then come back to life after being mostly dead. I don't know. It just rings a lot of bells for me.
Well, I can tell you this, Bourbon Santa, I did not expect to give a top dog out to the first ever caller, but you did great. Thank you so much for popping up. See you in the chat.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, dude. Wow. And so here's what I'm going to do. Before I put up the next guest, let me just do this. So the guests, you guys, I see like Bella Misha. Can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see the screen that I'm sharing? Okay. So if I click to the 30-second warning, that's what I'm going to do for you guys, just so you know. So that way I'm not trying to hey, right. So I'm just going to type this out quick. And I think that's the way that I'm going to do it. But Bourbon Santa, way to, oh, geez, I typed in 30 Santa. Sorry. Jesus, 30-second warning. 30 Santa warning. What a great first caller. All right. That should work. You guys can see that. Bella, you got it. I can only see your camera, so you're good. Okay, perfect. All right, next up, we got Diamond Faces. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add Diamond Faces up to the stage. Diamond, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
We are all good.
All righty. Well, it's going to be kind of tough to beat him, man. That was some great information. Well, I'm just going to kind of go into how I got into this case in the beginning, because it's actually pretty scary. I am located near Detroit, Michigan, so nowhere near Idaho. However, the morning of, the 13th, my daughter, who was 12 years old at the time, came running into my room saying, Mom, you got to see these snaps that are going around on Snapchat. And so she showed them to me. They were snaps about 4 people in a house on the campus of Idaho University that died from a shooting.
Wait, when was this?
That was November 13th around 9 a.m.
In 2022.
Correct. The morning of the supposed murders. Yes.
And your daughter was like, how old was she? So your
She
daughter's
was
college age?
12 years old.
What?
Yes. And we are in Michigan, and these snaps were going around, and we could see them all the way here in Michigan. Now, being that she thought it was a school shooting at a college, I tried to calm her down because that's a big fear of hers. However, didn't think too much of it, just, another school shooting tragedy, which was awful enough, until I went to work the next morning and saw an article about the 4 students that were killed in a house off campus in Idaho, but then they said it was stabbings. And that's how I became obsessed with this case because of what I had seen. If I knew then what I know now, I would have screenshot those things and sent them off to, I don't even know, because everybody's so corrupt in this case. Where the heck would have I even sent them? I do not know. Ann Taylor? I don't know. But this whole thing has snowballed from that day into something that I never saw coming. Like, this has gone from, I thought that was crazy when I saw that first article and realized what my daughter had actually shown me.
So can you provide a little bit of clarity on, like, who sent that? Who was putting that out on Snapchat?
It was, I don't really use Snapchat a lot, so I don't get exactly how it works. But when you're on Snapchat, I guess you have, access to people all over the place.
I wonder if it was a story. Sorry, Diamond Faces. I wonder if it was a location story.
Yes, it was. It was on the stories. It wasn't personal people sending them to her. But when you can see other people's stories, that's where it was showing up.
Wow. That is absolutely insane. Thank you so much for popping up, Diamond Faces. And also, too, I just want everybody to know, Bourbon Santa, Diamond Faces, when I cut people off like that, it's just, again, to keep moving. I could talk to both of you two for the rest of this stream, I'm sure. But thank you for being willing to pop up. Like I said, everybody tap that link in the top. And I'm going to take as many calls as we get. If we only get, 10, then we only get 10. But, if we go all night, we will go all night. So we got about 4 or 5 spots backstage. And if you guys do try to join and it doesn't let you, it's just because I think StreamYard can only have so many people backstage. So tap the link if you guys want to pop up. You guys have seen the first few. It's gone great. Next up, we got Real Eyes Analyze. How you doing?
Hey, Birdie. How's it going?
It's going. We got you loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. So I've been following this case since day one. And before that, I was following, cases that were just crazy, like the one from the California. What's that? What's her name? I can't even think of her name right now. But just a really crazy, where they found her in the water and then went and submerged in the car. And
in the car?
Yeah. The one that, what's her name? It was
she went to a party.
Yeah, that girl. One. Yeah. I can't think right now because I don't know, my brain just sometimes names go out of my head. But I was that whole case. I was on top of that. I was analyzing that, and then Rodney. Truckee. I think that's Keely, it. That's Rodney. It. Rodney. Yep. That's it. And it was in Truckee. That's what it was. Yeah. So anyway, so it kind of all started like even further back to the Watts case. So, but this case just really stunned me in just the way that it is, I mean, like anyone, you're like, wow, four college kids, like that's insane. But, I think at first I trusted that law enforcement were doing and everyone was doing what they were supposed to be doing. When Koberger first became named and they're like, we got our guy. I was pretty confident, in okay, all right, you got your guy. Well, that was great. Police work, whatever. But then I think as we all kind of went a little deeper and we kept seeing things just weren't adding up. And now more than ever, we see the disconnects. So one thing I started to realize within the first I'd say the year and a half, is that I realized that this has to have been like a huge network of connection involved in this. I don't believe this was some isolated case, 1 or 2 people. I don't believe that. And here's another thing. I find a lot of people are really taken up trying to protect the frats and the sororities. And I'm not going to sit here and blame a whole fraternity or sorority or anything, but I do believe that there were a few involved in this. And I do believe a lot more witnessed what happened. And I believe that there's one thing I love is the psychology of this. There's just so much. I'm just trying to figure out like where I want to stay.
Slow down. You're good.
Yeah. So for me, it's the psychology of it. I go a little deeper, right? So for me, it's the psychology, knowing that in fraternities, we know this happened in Greek Row. You have this mentality of this group mentality, they call it, right? So what happens is when they see something that happens, it tends to be their loyalty to the frats, the loyalty to the sororities. They will not say anything or not do anything because of their loyalty. And I do know that the way that they haze and things like that too, there's like that trauma bonding and things of that nature. And I know it almost seems off topic, but you have to go deep like that because you have to understand the psychology of these kids.
Right.
So, that part of me that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, so I'm sure there are some that were seeing things, that saw a whole lot, that aren't saying anything because they feel a loyalty, but there's also that fear. So I do believe it's a combination of, and I've said this before, a vendetta and paraphernalia. Rug paraphernalia.
Yeah, you can swear it. It's fine.
Okay.
So
I don't know what they're going to let you say. And nowadays you can't say anything. Code. So, I think this was a combination of both. I do believe that they were looking for something that night. The people who attacked the four of them. In the Lena Lane footage, you can absolutely hear it. And I had very clearly, and I'm a big skeptic on that kind of stuff. And I listen, you can hear them being questioned more than once. And you can hear a female asking questions. You can hear a male asking questions. Where's the blah, blah, blah. I can't hear what they're asking for, but you can hear it. You can hear them asking and you hear them say, I don't have them. I don't have them.
Yeah.
So there's something, I believe the cops know stuff. I mean, we could speculate all day, right? Because there's just answers, there's holes that we don't have fillings for, the filling for.
Yeah.
But all in all, I do believe because of the way they're being so secretive about this, that there are absolutely, that first, number one, always follow the money.
Yep.
And number two, there are bigger names that they're trying to, I think, protect as well. And so I just looked at the people who inserted themselves early on in the case.
No, that's great.
And yeah.
No, that's great. I was just going to say, this has to be powerful people, whether they're connected to the frats, the universities at some level. I don't think it's a stretch to say that somebody involved in one of those organizations may have witnessed, may know more than what they do. And I agree. I like how you had said, I'm not here to blame absolutely everybody, right? So thank you to realize, analyze. Appreciate that. And I'm going to go ahead and Bellamisha Mays is going to pop on up. Have I been saying your name right?
It's Bellamisha. Yes, it is.
Bellamisha. Okay. How are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing great. I love what she just said. I've been following this literally since it happened and it was broadcast because I have grandchildren that are that age. And I got to get involved in the case by watching it every day. And at one point, I'm going to be very honest, I thought that Brian Kohlberger was just a mad killer. But then I have a background of being a paralegal for over 15 years. And I was looking at the things that they were doing in the courts that the attorney I worked for would have never done. And he was one of the top 10 criminal attorneys in the state of Texas. And I was just looking at this and I was thinking, what are they doing? And then it hit me. They were doing cover-ups. And I just feel that what she said about the fraternities, I feel like it really has something to do with the college. I have a theory. My theory is that Xana and Ethan were the first to be murdered. And while they were being murdered by a group of people in the house, I believe that Kaylee and Maddie came home. And that's why they were murdered. And I've also looked at the video that they have of the police. I've looked at all of the pictures. And one thing that really disturbs me is the lack of splatter, the lack of blood. Because I have looked at a lot of cases where it was just one person and just a few stabs and there was blood everywhere. And you're supposed to expect me to believe that this young girl was stabbed over 54 times and there's not splatter in the hallway. There's not blood in the hallway. And I also hate the way that they cover for Dylan and Bethany, because there's no way that those two girls sat in that house and heard all of that and wasn't aware of what was going on. And
you got a lot
no
of people agreeing
reasonable
with you there.
Yes, and no reasonable person would sit in their home and listen to people be murdered and not be afraid, not call the police. I just feel like none of the stories match up. And I believe that the cover up comes from the college, from alumni, because someone's son did that goes to that college. And right now, him and his friends are sitting somewhere laughing because this man is in prison and they got away with it. And it's probably not the first thing they've ever gotten away with, because they're probably very entitled and coddled and coveted by their fathers. Because, I mean, if you think about it, they tore down the house. And then just 2 days ago, I found out that the district attorney told the lab that was doing DNA testing to get rid of the rest of the DNA. And I've never saw a case where they didn't keep DNA for further testing because of appeals.
So you're saying because of toxicology potentially?
Yes, yes. And I just feel like that there's a big cover up. A lot of people have money that are alumni. They're important. They may even be important in the state. And so I really feel like that's what happened. I don't feel like that this was something that was like trafficking. I don't believe it was drugs. I believe it was just an old-fashioned boy gets mad at boy over girl, and they went over there to make a point, and somebody is a crazy lunatic killer, and he just went on a killing spree. And I'm going to tell you something. It really bothers me that Dylan has been the voice of all this, and her boyfriend goes to that college. He's very wealthy, and they've kept him out of it.
They've kept a lot of people out of it, Bellamicia. And I got to say, thank you so much for calling in. And when I kick you guys, hopefully you guys can still hear me finish my point, because that was an epic point. You rock. Thank you. Every caller so far has just been unbelievable. Thank you. Seriously, from the bottom of my heart. I was not that worried, but I would be lying if I said, as I was getting ready for this, I was a little bit like, all right, this could go one or two ways. But let me just make a point. There are way too many people that have that same gut feeling Bellamicia has with the frats, with the connection. It makes way too much sense for that age group. It's not to say it's the only thing. I'm aware of that, as you all know. I've shied away from that theory. If I had to look at, not shied away, it hasn't been my primary, but I don't disagree with the fact that, yeah, what gets young adults pissed off, especially when you're male and your testosterone's flowing and you're going through that, you're fighting over a girl, right? I mean, it makes sense. And you're in a frat and you're getting shamed for having little nuts because you tried to take steroids to get jacked. I don't know. Things can escalate. It might sound ridiculous. People might say, okay, Birdie, whatever. I'm just saying, if you take this case out of it and you heard that as a motive, would you really scratch your head that much for, wow, that's just crazy. I could see somebody piecing that together. Next up, we got Brandon H. Brandon, what's good?
Oh, everything. So I'm going to be exactly the opposite of all of that.
Let me hang on, brother. 1 second.
Yes.
Let me turn your mic up.
Oh,
you're good now.
So you and I have spoken before, obviously, but
yep.
I'm gonna be pretty much the exact opposite of all of that. So to me, college kids couldn't have pulled this off without significant help. But I think you have two things here that I just simply can't get out of my mind. And that is, one, the college and just simply law enforcement in general, with all the gaps and all the things we're missing and all the truth that we're lacking, is by, as more and more comes out, it just seems by design. I mean, you got, not only the gaps in DNA testing, but like there's, they don't test everything. There's, they weren't looking into everyone. It seems like it was just simply a cover up by a law enforcement, by a university also telling them, figure this out. And I think that's kind of where this whole BK thing seems to come from, is that it's all by design, by trying to figure out a way out. Like they something got messed up somewhere in here, whether it's drugs, but I just can't wrap my mind around, not that it isn't a crime of passion. Yes, of course, like that seems plausible, but we're also talking about college kids pulling off this ninja type act. And then you got like this gaps in camera footage, the gaps in whatever's going on with
the university's camera was down as well.
Right. So it's like all these little pieces that we're missing, and almost every other explanation seems to be coordinated for everyone to wonder everything else but the truth. So it makes you go in these other directions, but your brain, it's like all these other things, like religion and everything. It's like you can go in these things, but it's like you can't get to the absolute, like, the nut explanation of this is what could have happened, because there's a gap in literally blood, crime scene, blurring, like it's just phone data, timing advance data. It's like, where are all the cameras? It's like, these gaps are missing for you on purpose, because the design is so you can't figure it out. And who's capable of that?
So give me your like elevator pitch. You're gonna say that this is the university getting in way too deep, trying to figure out, like somebody.
I think the university. No, sorry, I'm cutting off because I definitely want to get to the point quickly. But I think the university wanted to get rid of drugs, and this is a known drug place. They have the law enforcement's coming up with the drug connections to the Copaco group, the Aryan group, whoever. And I think that's how they get. Just by coincidence, law enforcement helps them get to that point by knowing BK. They obviously knew about him before we were ever told, before they're even admitting to ever being told. But the same thing is like, they wanted something had to be done by an expert source, the actual act itself, not the reasoning around all of it. But like college kids are going to be scared. They're going to be told what to do. The city, the area is going to be scared, told what to do. The law enforcement is going to find a way to cover it up, but I think the school's the ones trying to get rid of drugs. It went south. Something had to be. You have to put all of it together after 2.5 years. Kids aren't coming back to school. That's millions and millions of dollars you're going to lose. And there's only one culprit that could feasibly put together this type of like farce of an explanation and telling, like, who has the ability to tell law enforcement, I don't give a flip, find someone, get this over with, and let's move on, or we're all going to be in deep S. And if someone wants to tell me that law enforcement isn't on the college payroll, you're out of your mind. That's exactly who's on their payroll and how they get into it. So
I agree. And again, I'm not being mean when I'm cutting people off. I gave everybody, 3-4 minutes. Brandon, that's a great point. Look, this is also my first time doing it. So if I seem a little uncomfortable that I just did that, I feel like a huge dick. But also, I know myself. I know the chat. We are all people who have a lot to say. This is one of those times where I'm also playing around with this timeline, or this, not the timeline, the segment. 2, 3, 4 minutes on the long end is what I'm going. So please, also, when you pop up, just kind of respect that. Don't make me look like I'm an asshole when I kick you off mid chat. Also, please don't take it personally. So next up, we got Carol D. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So what's your theory with the Idaho 4?
I'm doing good. Well, I mean, am I?
Carol,
I'm Carol. Okay, so we have two Carols here.
Wait, Carol, can you turn your background down just a little bit? There's a little echo coming in, and I'll restart your time. No worries. I don't know if you got it on your TV or something.
Okay, let me change rooms. Oh, that is me. Okay.
Yep.
I'll go out of the room.
Okay, no worries. That's fine. Take your time. I'm going to reset you. And
okay,
I'm
here.
That's a good learning point. So if you guys are watching on the TV, just know that we'll pick up the background audio. So don't feel like you got to turn your TV off or whatever on the stream. It's a little bit delayed. That's why that is. But now,
Got it.
Carol, you're all good to go. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good.
You're good. And so let me ask you this. What exactly is the question? Because I kind of came in here late and I went, okay, Idaho 4, I've been watching since day 1, 3 years ago.
Yep.
Go ahead. What is the question?
So right now, what I'm doing is just, you could say anything. I'm somebody who I like to look through all different lenses. So theories, call it conspiracy theories. Oh, it's the Aryan Knights, it's the prison gangs, it's a frat cover up, it's rich parents,
Got
whatever
it.
it is. And I'm just kind of giving people, 2-3 minutes to be concise.
Okay,
What do
got
you
it.
think?
I actually believe that number one, Brian Koberger is completely innocent. I think that because of his degree and his knowledge and his brain power, he's obviously has a very high IQ, that it's possible that he could be working at this point for the FBI behind closed doors, because the prison he is in now is completely has all the Aryan, as I understand it to be, the Aryan families and all of that, and perhaps he could do some good as far as evidence and all that. I think from day one, and I've never been an active follower of true crime ever. But when this dropped, I followed it from day one. And Truth and Transparency, I followed 100%. And I really began to understand a lot. And there's just no way. I think he was set up. And now a lot of blood evidence is coming out with other players and they won't disclose it or for some reason. And there's just more involved. I think that Moscow, Idaho is full of drugs. I think that it comes from Mexico up that road all the way to Seattle, Washington, and it has for a long time. And they drop in at all the universities they can, and they have the main players. Perhaps the house was where they kept the drugs, and kids came and bought the drugs from there. I don't know, and but it's a possibility. But God bless him. I really don't believe. And looking at Brian with his shirt off, long distance runners, I understand, can run forever, but they look emaciated, whatever. And
They're like
Brian,
soft. It's just soft. Like,
and Brian looks emaciated. And there's just no way he could have walked in there and slaughtered just with such vengeance those students. There is no way under God. There's just no way. I believe that for a fact, and I bet I'm right.
I
So
bet you're right
anyway,
too. 30-second warning if you want to say some
okay,
closing
okay,
thoughts.
30 seconds. I want to say thank you for having me on your show. And I watch you a lot, along with all of the sleuths. I am becoming an addict. And so, anyway, I like you. I like all of you. So you're all great. And I appreciate your time and all of that. So God bless and have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Carol D. I appreciate that. And Hive, that is wonderful. I want to just say too, while this has been something that I've floated the idea out for, I was trying to make it too complicated. I was trying to get this, these virtual cables so that you guys could call in off of a phone number and all this stuff, because in my head, I'm like, well, do people want to wait backstage, whatever it is? You know what? I'm going to take a second here and I'm going to learn for myself that really what this shows me is this is powerful, right? This is powerful. It's easy. You can get up here. I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm going to try to, converse with you if there's a moment for me to do so. But think about this. Now it's not just Birdie barking into the mic. We got the whole damn hive that's going to come up here and speak their mind. So thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. And if you do tap the link and it doesn't let you in, it's just because the backstage is full, but I'm going to keep cranking through these here. Next up, we got Donna Del Rey. How are you doing? Oh, Donna, it says you're on mute.
Hi.
We got you.
Can you hear me? Hi. Yeah. So, hi. How are you?
I'm good.
Cool. I joined not knowing there was like a prompt, and I do not have a theory
That's okay.
to float out there right now.
Do you have a general thought about the Idaho 4? You don't have to have a theory per se, but just what are your thoughts on it? Like when you heard about it, did you think it was Brian? What do you think now?
When I first heard about it, I was heavily invested, and it's like the same with the other girl that's talked about, Kylie Rodney. I was very much into that case. And then when Idaho 4 happened, I became heavily invested, especially because he got arrested like in less than an hour and a half from my house. So that was like really weird.
So
but
Koberger did out in Pennsylvania, you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So at first I did think he was guilty, and then I just started deep diving, and I haven't stopped deep diving. Yeah, so I think he's innocent for sure. I cannot say like what I 100% think happened, but what I want to know is like how long does everyone think that we're going to keep like deep diving it, and if we're ever actually going to get any answers, because like I don't know if we will.
Well, I can tell you that I myself have asked, or I have asked myself that a lot. I know that my wife and I have had conversations where we're like, how many times can we talk about this? But they're continuing to drip out this information. And I wonder if maybe the approach to that, Donna, is like, we know that the documents are going to be very easy to poke holes in. And is that just to keep us distracted? Is that like giving a dog a Kong full of peanut butter while you're about to walk out of the house so it doesn't bark? That's kind of what I feel like they're doing with these documents. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we're distracted. So like in the equivalent of like a human leaving while the dog is licking all the peanut butter out of the Kong, is that there's clear corruption, but we're too infatuated with digging through and getting every last little bit of what they did wrong and how obvious this is that they have some wrongdoing and some corruption. So I think overall, Donna, thank you so much for calling in. I think many, many people, probably maybe the majority of people that tune in, feel the same way that you do. So thank you for popping up here, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you, you too.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right. Next up, we got Lindsay, aka Z. What is going on, Z?
Hey, Birdie, do you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Am I muted? I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Oh, okay. Thank you for choosing me to say hi and say my theory. If this is not a psyop, then this is a crime that was highly organized many months before this happened, and there are plenty of people that are involved, but each of them had specific jobs to do. I'm not saying they're involved with the actual unaliving, but they all had a role to play. And some of them did it well, and some of them were not in sync, is what I think may have happened. But other than that, I think what rules this whole case is the narrative that somehow just they're sticking to that 4 a.m. timeline to make everything else work around it, whether it's because they saw a car in that time zone or that time period, or it's just that's what they first hit upon, that it was 4 a.m. when Dylan said these things. So after you see those, if you see that and you know that's not correct, it started to just unravel very quickly. And I think that there's so many things that are going wrong. As soon as so many things that you can see that are wrong, as soon as you start with one that you figured out that makes more sense, you have to disregard everything else that you've uncovered and start again. So that gets a little frustrating. But for the most part, I believe that he's innocent. I don't think he was involved as a driver or a cleaner or any of that stuff. I don't understand why him. I think that maybe there's a possibility that they were watching him and for some reason picked him, and they got his DNA from a traffic stop and they just put it on a sheet that they bought. The the house itself, not that I want it to look bloody, but it does not look like a crime scene at all. It looks like a party house. It doesn't look like there's any, I don't want to sound gory, but there's no blood there. I mean, this should look like a Quentin Tarantino movie. It should have it everywhere. And when you see some of the, and they use blurring out photos to make you think that there is something there. And for the most part, since I don't believe, for the most part, I don't think it happened there. I think it did happen outside. I don't think they were brought back in. I think they went directly to a medical examiner's office. I don't know how many people are involved in this or why they're involved in this. It just seems like when you start thinking of alternative theories, they make more sense than what we're given. And especially now when we just saw the two pictures of sheaths. I don't know, one is bigger than the other, different color. I don't know if it's the lighting, but a sheath laying on a bed for 8 hours, it should be blood soaked, should have more than what they have on it. I just think that was, I don't even think it was planted because I don't even think it existed to be planted. I think it just was, if they want to take a picture or have something gone to a lab, then it would have just been a sheath that they bought, and they took a piece of DNA or cell or whatever from moving his hand, being arrested, or the traffic stops, because I think it happened. I'm not sure if it happened before or if it was during the time I know when he wasn't arrested, but that could have easily been put on anything and they called it a day. We can't trust them for anything. So, like anything else, a lot of people have different theories, but I think most of us on this hive believe it's not what we're being sold for sure.
And, I've seen your name in the chat a ton, Z, and thank you for continuing to tune in, and thank you for being part of the hive. I think your last sentence sums up pretty much how everybody does, feel in here, which is, you know what? I don't expect to be your guy's brain, right? I'm hoping that there's something that I've said. I hope by how many hours I've spent talking into this mic that there's something that at least I've said where maybe I didn't piece together and you all went out and did it. I know for sure that what you all have said into the hive, I've gone and I've dug into. So great job, Z. Thank you so much for calling in. Next up, we have LA Mike, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring him on up. Well, it's Gucci.
Hey, Bertie, this is Pop. You got people talking about those frats still. I can't. Give me a break.
Pavarotti. Wow, hey,
what's up,
man? One second. Would that be something? Let me just throw my shades on. We didn't plan this, but I can tell you what. I would love to hear from Jay and Bree, and I don't know if you planned on doing the entire thing as him. Obviously, if you did, I know you. I know myself. We're doing this out of love.
Yeah, no, totally. No, I'm just messing around. No, man. So for me, I try to go back to square one and just back to the basics and how are crimes solved and how are they committed? And it's usually, 90% of the time done by family, friends, someone they're intimately close with. Two, it's usually the last person to see them alive, and then it's motive and opportunity and access.
So who do you think has all that, bro?
That screams, right. I mean, obviously, right. That screams Dylan.
Okay.
And then, they go to solve it. It's witnesses and tip lines and things like that. Physical evidence, which I think, they've messed with so much. As far as the witnesses go, again, you've got Dylan. And then, it's kind of funny how she just kind of tries to lure everyone she knows over to the house, right? She got Hunter there and whoever else. But, I don't have a theory. I mean, I have a million different theories. I'm not going to tell you all of them.
Any bombshell thought that you've had that maybe you haven't heard many people talk about? So I don't necessarily, or that I don't disagree with your point on, we have to look at basics of solving crimes. Who has the means, who has the opportunities, who has the motive. There's a lot of people that fall into that bucket, but is there anything like what Bourbon Santa said? I got to say, did that blow your mind?
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah, he needs to go work for ABC right now. Well, no, he's too smart for ABC, but yeah, that was awesome. But it could be something like that, and then it could be something as simple as Hunter Johnson or someone got upset and there was a fight and someone lost their mind, and you know, based on the wounds, it does seem like somebody just lost their mind and it was personal and they went crazy. Um, it seems like a crime of passion that's personal, and so that tells me it's someone they know. Um, I'm just trying to look for those things that are obvious, but with all the cover up, the forensic cover up, and Judge Hippler covering, just basically denying everything. He was basically an appendage of the prosecution, which is just not fair. I mean, just totally not fair. And I think I'm probably at time, but yeah, I think, and it's funny how they're giving us all the paperwork, all the evidence, starting from back to front, right? That's just so weird to me. I mean,
It's almost a diversion tactic, though, right, dude?
Totally.
It's working. We are falling for it.
Dude, I've fallen for everything they've thrown at me. Yep.
I have too. We're walking right into that path, and thank you so much for popping up, brother. Obviously, LA Mike, go check him out too. He's got a Spotify, YouTube channel, JEZIN.
Yep.
I use his music for my intro every now and again. Great dude. That is LA Mike in the chat. Thank you so much for popping on up. I just saw Sherlock had asked, what did Bourbon Santa say? I might butcher it exactly, but Bourbon Santa made this point about how, well, they said that this dude had leg injuries, right? What if he jumped off the top balcony and it wasn't the car accident? Hence why you can't find the report of the car accident. And I was just like, whether or not people are like, well, no, the car accident makes more sense because of, X, Y, and Z, whatever it is, because Farley said it. And I can go down that rabbit hole, but I'm saying just a tip of the hat and a nod to critical thinking. Bravo. Top dog for sure. Let me take a sip of water. Then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring up Freedom Fighter. Freedom Fighter, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, Bertie?
I'm doing well, brother. We got you loud and clear.
Hello to all the hive there. Great. Thanks for having me on.
Yep.
Just got a few points. One, you can't help but agree with what everyone has said, right? About the sheath, if he had bought that in Pennsylvania, traveled all the way across the country with it, like how could his DNA not be on it, right? And then, in my opinion, and leading up to your first caller, I also had the same theory because I think it was Sherlock who brought up that Bethany and Dylan's windows were locked. So the ladder that was propped up there to access the second floor, I believe that someone had access to the windows as well, right?
I don't talk about the ladder very often. I know a lot of people do.
It's barely mentioned, yeah.
So continue. So you think they use that to get in through a window or escape?
It makes sense because I thought about like someone getting injured by having to flee, just like your first caller said, which was an amazing comment. So, but when you see the ladder there, when with I believe it was Sherlock who is incredible as well. That all the other windows were unlocked or open. That they could have gained access to that, right? So,
we love you.
So yeah, that's just another thing. And going back to what everyone else has said, like this whole timeline, this whole thing just revolves around Dylan, right? So,
Wait, hang on, Freedom Fighter. Can you repeat that? Yeah. I cut out for a second. Go ahead. I heard that. I heard that we love you, Birdie, and I was shaking my fist like I love you guys, and then
that's the whole family. But yeah, just and the fact that the whole timeline revolves around Dylan's input and theory, right? Is just because we just don't know what to believe, right? So.
Well, I think that's good. So what do you think your overall theory is? You still got about a minute and a half here. What do you think, what would you say your overall theory is, Freedom Fighter?
I'm all over the place like everyone else, right? It's like I think this is a house of cards that goes way up. If the girls were men, if the roommates were male, it'll be totally different. But I totally believe that it's just it's so puzzling. All the innuendos are thrown at us, all the misconceptions. the slow release of docs, the redactions, the lack of blood. I really don't have a theory. I know I don't believe he was involved at all, but I believe the unalivers were probably killed before they arrested him. But
Well, I think that's good, and I think you're absolutely right. Like, you don't have to have a theory. I think the point too about if Dylan and Bethany were males. Look, I'm not afraid to say, in my opinion, you guys can have your opinion. In my opinion, yeah, I do believe they would have been treated differently from a standpoint of like, what is a physical threat capability? It's not actually anything that's like, you could take Dylan and Bethany's name away from it. I just think it's like, it's more sus if they're male.
Yeah, not in a sexist point of view at all, but it's just another aspect to it that the whole storyline revolves around her, right? So the whole time frame. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you calling up, Freedom Fighter. Thank you for tuning in. And
thanks for having me, man.
Yep, I hope you have a great rest of the night. I'll see you in the Hive. Cheers.
Bye, brother. Yeah,
yep,
same
peace.
to you. Bye.
All right, great. Another great call. We are on an absolute roll. Thank you to everybody too who's making sure that like their mic is good. There's been no background noise. We had Carol, which if you are watching on your TV, just know that we're going to hear that. So step into the other room for the time being. And next up, we have Les. Les,
Hey,
are you there? Oh, you're there.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
I'm here. Good. Hey, I wanted to talk about the Gonsalves family right now because one thing that I've been very frustrated with, well, I've been frustrated with them forever, but Olivia, I wonder if she's just so loyal to her father and like she doesn't want to go against him. Just because I've had conversations with her on TikTok, I know Booking with B talks to her, and I've seen her argue facts like in her TikToks, like, no, there was no other male DNA on the back of that sheath, and they were sleeping. And we know they weren't sleeping. I mean, even Dylan said Kaylee was dancing with Murphy and then she ran up the stairs. I just don't understand what that's about. Like, is she trying to steer us wrong or does she really believe that?
Well, that's a great question. And so let me ask you this, because you had brought up the G's.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you want to do an umbrella, comment back to this, or if you want to dive into anybody specifically, do you think they know the truth? And does your gut tell you that they are trying to lead people down a path by saying certain things to make us question what they're saying to end up finding the answers? Does that make sense?
I think that Steve has always known. I'm not sure about Christy. I don't think, I mean, she's too heartbroken. I just think that they just believe Steve, and I believe he's always known. And I believe he makes blunders. A lot of his stuff is like word salad, and I don't know. I can't tell if he's trying to give us hints. Maybe he's afraid for his family, like to all be attacked, or for himself. I can't tell with him. I don't know.
And what do you think, in your opinion, would be like if you had to pick one soundbite from whether it be, the Gonsalves family or any other family? What would you say is like the most, whoa, that is eye opening, and it's not normal per se? And with it, you guys know what I mean. Like, respectfully, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, they've said so many weird things. I think what really got me was at the sentencing, and the statements they gave were just so crazy, and calling him a pedo, and again saying that he attacked them in their sleep. It was just like, I'm like, are they that delusional, or are they just trying to sell it that hard? It's hard to know.
And are you somebody in general? We got about 30 seconds here, so
okay.
This is kind of my last question to you. And also just for future callers, I have no problem too going back and forth like this. Don't feel like you got to talk the whole time. But Les, I obviously I see your name in here a bunch. Let me ask you this: when you hear stuff in general in your everyday life where maybe people are over explaining or they're digging their heels in, does that tend to make you think they're guilty or like they're lying? Like, I know guilty and lying might be synonymous in a way, but I'm saying, do you think they're covering like lying, or do you think they're guilty like they're just covering their ass? Like misdirection or covering?
I think that when people over explain, they're lying. Like in the Kylie Rodney case, as Caleb and I have talked about a million times. Yeah. They over
Okay.
explain, they got something to hide. Liars just throw in a bunch of random things that don't matter.
And they're also very, very emotionally aggressive, right?
Oh, yep. And that's what unfortunately I see with Steve G. I really do.
Well, thank you so much, Les, for
All
being a part
right.
of the Hive and calling in. You did great, and I will see you in the chat.
All right. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Les. Next up, we got Terry Martin. Terry, how are you doing? I got you loud and clear here.
Good. Can you hear me?
You're all good.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, I'm trying to figure out why Brian pled. What's your
You
thought?
and many others. Well, so if I had to sum up, there's two lenses that I like to look through, and I obviously don't want to take up all your time, but to kind of sum
No,
it up
you're
quickly
fine.
is that I would say if I look through a very like normal case lens,
Mhm.
I think it's a long-term legal strategy. You want to get the death penalty off the table. Maybe you feel like you got railroaded in your county, in the courtroom that you're in, and you're going to rely on like post-conviction relief. Then
Okay.
there's my tinfoil hat lens, right? And everybody in here knows what I mean by that, which is whether it be Operation Cover Story, they're going to WITSEC his ass, who knows? So I guess I would also then refer that question to you. Why do you think?
Okay. Let's go back to when I sent you Sean Atwood.
Yep.
What did he say? Nobody had anything on him. And 92% pled with
It's a huge
nothing
statistic.
on them. Because if they went to trial, it would cost money. And they would be pretty much already going to be found guilty. And they were going to face a bigger, whatever, I don't know. What do you call it?
It's expensive to fight a case like this, right?
Mhm.
Especially and fight it well. So yes, so Terry had sent me this interview of Sean Atwood. He was actually in a prison, like holding cell area, if this is the same one you're talking about, but I believe this is what he said. It refers to almost dead on what Brian Koberger has talked about in his papers. And what is a reality of our justice system. I have to fully transparently say, I had no idea that 90+% of cases never went to trial and settled in a plea. I had no idea. I actually would have not chosen that in a multiple choice question. I would have guessed maybe 35 to 45%.
Mm-hmm.
What would you have said?
Me?
Yeah,
I would have
like
said,
before this case.
Oh my God. I mean, nothing in the 90 percentile.
It's insane. And the court is still backed up. So do you think Brian pled? So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you the one or the other. This is either normal or this is tinfoil hat, Terry, because I know you and I know you could put on both hats here. You think this is more on the tinfoil hat side? This is a plea to quietly disappear into the abyss, or do you think that this is a plea because he's just getting railroaded and it's post conviction relief?
I think it's actually, if you could combine them, that's what I think it is.
He ended up becoming the fall guy for something else that was ongoing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that there was something else going on. And if he chose as he had, he stood his ground for a long time. If he kept sticking his ground, that's what was waiting for him. What do you think? I don't know. But I think he was a mixture of both.
I don't think that that's a bad theory at all, Terry. I'm going to go ahead and send you back down into the chat. Thank you so much. I'll finish answering it. You rock. I will be. I know I owe you a couple calls back, so I
No,
will
you're
chat
fine.
with you soon.
Okay,
Thank you, Derek.
buddy.
Yep.
Bye.
So I don't disagree with that theory. Did Brian Koberger end up like, who's to say that Brian had any idea this was going on? If we are looking through the tinfoil hat lens, which I never gave my disclaimer, I just ran this along the bottom of the screen. But if you don't like to think past the headlines, you probably still aren't watching these call-ins. But if you like to think critically, you're not an NPC, maybe you've limited your tap water consumption, you're probably really enjoying this. I know I certainly am, hearing from you all. But who's to say that Brian Koberger didn't get put into this cluster halfway through? Nobody, if he was being surveilled that early, would be allowed to continue about their life for 30 days, cross multiple state lines, if it was so obvious they had his DNA within 5 days, as Middleman and Stacey Chapin said at CrimeCon, Steve G saying in the victim impact statements. We knew it right away. I was in the driveway saying, let's get to work. Like, these are all quotes, so this isn't even me speculating. It's coming from these people themselves. So I guess I would say it's not a stretch to think it could be a hybrid theory. And the next person that's going to be coming up for the Hive Mind call-in show is going to be M. Stokes. I just added them to the stage. How are you doing?
Hi, Birdie. Can you hear me?
You are loud and clear.
Okay. My question is about Officer Rosie and Kaylee's rumored romance. How much would it take for that to be pushed up beyond rumor into an actual item that could be factored into the case?
Well, I can tell you from what my gut instinct tells me is that if there was a pretty college girl sleeping with a local cop on a college campus that's in that city, I think that rumor would spread like wildfire. You know what I mean? And where does that just come from? It's kind of my thought on most rumors. Is that what you were asking, or?
Well, I'm saying that I've been hearing that from different sources, not from just Dot, but I had heard that along the way from a lot of sources, and I'm even thinking that Paul may have inferred that he was dropped off in one of the cars that was dropped off and then picked up on that night there. So I'm just wondering, is this just a distraction? Is it a nothing burger? Is it something that anyone's considering to be a major factor in the actual case? And that's all I have to ask about it.
Well, thank you so much for the question. I'm going to go ahead. I'll put you backstage. I'm going to answer that because I have a couple of thoughts on it. You rock, M. Stokes. Thank you so much for being a part of the Hive and for calling in. Great job. I think this, and I don't want to just be repetitive what I said 30 seconds ago, because there are rumors that are just bullshit, right? Like, there's been rumors about me since I've started this channel when it comes to I don't even want to say them because I also don't want to be like, see, Birdie's trying to, no, these rumors are insane. Okay. So there are insane rumors. You guys, most of you, if you're in the Discord, you probably know which ones those are. But I don't think that enough people have considered that possibility seriously. I think it's been kind of something you hear and you're like, oh shit. Like, that absolutely would throw a wrench into how does the police department react when it comes to, oh my God, we just had an officer who was a plainclothes officer that night patrolling for underage drinkers sneak off. I'm not claiming for sure fact, but I do think that M. Stokes has a point. Like, how many people have thrown that in there when it comes to the timeline? So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next caller. And after Lisa White pops up here, guys, I have to pee so bad. And, well, whatever. Somebody said, get your kidneys checked, all this stuff. I'm peeing water out. Okay. I'm drinking a lot of water. I go through like 9 of these a day. Mrs. Birdie constantly keeps the sink full. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring Lisa up. And Lisa is now on the stage. How are you doing? Oh, you're muted, Lisa.
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. We got you loud and clear.
So everyone had such great points. I'm not going to go over what we already know to be facts in the case, but to get this out to the masses so our mothers and brothers and family and friends don't think we're crazy, I think Court TV just had a really, one day ago, they had a, their live show. And basically they're saying the reason why Koberger is getting so much money in donations, which he should be able to afford his restitution in the recent filings, that all these girls have fetishes with Brian Koberger as like his women and men in prison. And that's basically, we know that to be false, who are really donating to him, right? I'm sure it's men and women and has nothing to do with wanting to know him that way. And I think that's your in. Turtle Boy did it. You can too.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, Lisa White. And, I'm very surprised that Turtle Boy can look at the Karen Reed case and go that granular, and he can't do it with this case, amongst many other people that are creators and think very critically, right? I don't know how you can cover Diddy, or if you can cover Epstein, or if you can cover, many other cases that might not be what we're being told. Yet this one, I don't know I have no idea. I really can't wrap my head around it. But to your point, Lisa, I have a question for you when it comes to these donations. If you've watched that recent live that Christy and Steve did you watch that?
Right. I did.
What's insane to me is that Christy and Steve are dropping bombshells as far as emotion, and clearly they're frustrated. They're calling out Bill Thompson. Steve G's ranting about how he does not represent us. He gave into the pressure, yada, yada, yada. And then you have a guy who has doctor next to his name. Ignore it. And I'm not saying that you have to be a great interviewer, but how do you not take any of that into your account and then just go back again to, as devil's advocates and I say, like, Koberger was doing the slow stroke on the cinder block outside looking into their windows. Like, really? That's what that you got out of that? When he says that about Bill Thompson?
Right. And the last thing I'll say is I live in Idaho. I'm from a small farm town that's very close to Moscow. My dad was a veterinarian in that town. And I can tell you he was also the deputy coroner when the only other coroner was out of town. And I have a lot of information to say that, but Idaho is very, the Masonic Lodge, temples, like all those things need to be looked into, because I've sent you an email before, but
well, and I apologize if I missed it. If I missed it, yeah. I'm sorry. Like, guys,
you get probably thousands.
I say that in a way of like, please don't stop sending them. But I can tell you, I could go through them for a very, very long time. And it's like, sometimes I just randomly will type in words into the search bar and see what pops up, like depending on the theme.
Well, search my name several months back, and you'll be surprised on what I told you. And it's all true. And I even gave all my information so you can verify who I am.
Well, I appreciate that, Lisa. Thank you so much for calling in. I'm going to absolutely do that. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hive, you guys are crushing this. Not again, I don't want to just be your cheerleader here, but this has been awesome. As Mrs. Birdie said, as I've said, as I've seen many other, there's so many smart people in here. And I think that I know I've known that via the sentence long 150 characters, whatever you're limited to in a comment. They come through and I put them up on the screen. And a lot of times those dictate where the show goes. I'm so happy this is going as good as it is for the first time, because now we could throw random questions up for the topic. This is generalized shit. Next week, let's do, we could do whatever. It could be, what do you think Maddie told Adam? What do you think about this part of the case, that part of the case? What do you think about that? And I just think it's going to be a game changer. So shout out to you guys, because this has gone great. Maybe this will be our Tuesday night thing. I'm going to go pee. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to play this like 2 minute thing here. Excuse me. And I'll be back hopefully before the end of this song. So.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm back. I won't stop, I'ma fight until there's nothing left. It's so what? You're gonna be hurting bad, cause I've been to hell and back. You don't wanna make me mad, I stay strong. You will never see me crack. And if you get in my way, you're gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math, when I hate, I attack. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel.
All right, what's going on, Hive? Thank you so much for waiting. We got a couple spots backstage still, so I'm gonna go ahead, come on up here, chat with me. It's completely free to click the link. As a reminder, here are the rules. Be concise. Said 2 minutes approximately. I've been giving people about 4 just because the points have been epic. The background noise, please try to not be in a public space. You guys have been doing great with that. So far, no threats, no trolling, no spamming. So I will put up the 30-second warning when you get to, the 3-minute mark if you're still going. And with that being said, next up, we got Vonda.
Oh my God.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Vonda.
Oh, I hope I'm not too loud.
Nope, you're perfect.
So anyway, I have a degree in criminal justice and another degree in paralegal, and I've always been interested in true crime. And I even wrote a paper in college about the death penalty and wrongful convictions. And what startles me about this case really is the amount of video evidence that we have seen and the lack of video evidence that clearly identifies Brian Kohlberger. There is no video that definitively identifies his car, him in the car, his license plate, any distinguishing marks. And Ann Taylor also asked for CCTV video that was confiscated that probably could have shown a better view if her client was, in fact, the suspect. And they mysteriously lost that video footage. So, and that came out in the hearings.
We have we have 2 people that have said now, we'd love to read your paper. Can I back up to that point? When you wrote about that and then you saw Brian's papers, or maybe you heard about that, did it reflect very similar statistics? I mean, are you taught about the amount of cases that do settle in a plea deal, or is that something you'd have to research?
So when I first, I went to college at the age of 35 and graduated with honors at the age of 40. So I'm pretty old. But my college professors always remarked I started my college journey as a just law and order, black and white. If you did it, if you're accused, then that's it, you go away. And I evolved over time where I saw the whole picture. Where I took every class and I ended up writing a paper, which I never thought I would, on um, the abolishing the death penalty because of all of the people who have been wrongly convicted and sentenced to death. There were cases where I read like the transcripts of cases where you have to have an experienced capital case attorney on your team with experience. There were cases where people were convicted and sentenced to death where the person who was the experienced criminal capital murder lawyer was sleeping during the whole trial, and a
Like
newly
literally,
graduated law student was representing the defendant.
like actually asleep.
Yes, actually asleep. It was in the court records.
What?
And yes, and it was overturned. Eventually ended up being overturned, but I couldn't believe what I was reading. And there were many cases where eyewitness testimony was found to be false. I also I passed the state license exam for private investigation, and it was amazing how one of the tests they gave us was this is kind of funny. You watch the bank robbery scene from Point Break with Keanu Reeves,
Yep.
and half of the class was treated as witnesses and the other half were investigators. So everyone watched the video clip of the bank robbery scene in Point Break. And then they came back together, and the investigators asked the witnesses, so how many bank robbers were there? What were they dressed as? And just basic questions. You wouldn't believe there were a million different answers. No one agreed, and everyone watched the same video. It was incredible. It was really eye opening too to see something like that.
Are
Um,
you in our Discord?
I don't think so. I'm
If
kind of
you would,
not tech savvy.
man, if Dawn, okay, I was gonna make a slide for this. Dawn made a new email for me for like general stuff. Obviously, I'm gonna point everybody to the Discord, but do you have your paper in a PDF? I would love to read it.
I'll have to boot up my old laptop and pull it up, but I can try to do that.
Because full transparency, the death penalty and abolishing it seemed like this was way more of a quote political case than it is from a human case. Does that make sense? I hope that does.
Yeah, it
That's how
makes
my brain
sense.
processes it.
Yeah. Um, but when we see like what mainstream media and what politicians and everyone put out, it's very different from when you read an actual court transcript and you read the arguments before the appeals court, and where things were not done correctly, and where an attorney was sleeping at the table the entire time, or there were other instances, and I'm nervous so I can't recall them right now, but
Okay.
it got me interested in the Innocence Project because they have a lot of fascinating cases too, where people are convicted of really horrendous crimes against children. And I worked for child protection for 15 years for the state, and it was found that they weren't guilty. They were innocent. They maintained their innocence even after conviction in prison, and the Innocence Project got them out. So
You need to apply for the I know we're doing the mods roundtable the next time. You should apply for the next one. Okay.
oh, that would be great. It's
So
been just a pleasure talking to you. Like, I watch every live every chance I get, and I'm so fascinated with all our minds coming together. And sometimes other people say things, and I'm like, oh my God, I never thought about that
It's the
perspective.
best.
And I love it. And thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Well, thank you for calling in. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put you back in the chat and finish my comments on this
Okay.
because,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Let me just say, even I have to say, it is surprising how many people lean into this idea that really came out of nowhere. It's awesome. It's awesome. Like, pat on the back to everybody. I'm going to open this window up real quick, and then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to bring up Taylor. All righty. Next up on stage is Taylor. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for
This
calling
this
in.
is the Olipop SpongeBob hater.
Oh no.
I just dumped the rest out. I joined I joined kind of late, so I'm assuming that this is kind of just like the general thing you were talking about. It doesn't have to be like theories or anything.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I know I was watching your live last night, and I know you guys like had some questions about like the 911 dispatcher sounding different and kind of questioning if it was the same one. And I saw a couple people in chat who were 911 dispatchers as long.
Yep.
I can't even speak. I'm so nervous.
Don't be nervous. You're good.
Along
You're
with
good.
me, and just wanted to clarify that like the person that was speaking to Dylan and everybody else, there is somebody else that's working that is going over the radio and kind of paging that out to get the information out. So it likely was not the same person.
So the person you're saying when we hear the AI sounding robot voice, and I'm not saying that to discredit anything, but that, in my opinion, that's what it sounds like, right? You're
Mhm.
saying that somebody is listening into that
Yep.
is then going to put that out into. Well, then why do we hear the dispatch call on some of the officers' body cams? That
Like
sounds
what? Like, do you mean like the actual call, or are you talking like the page out?
Yeah, because like aren't there times where you can hear the actual 911 call on the body cam?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, no, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just saying like, so, but in general, you've done dispatch.
Yeah, so like basically if I answered a 911 call, and I'm talking to them, getting them, getting the information and stuff, my partner, we usually have like where I worked, we had like 4 or 5 people in dispatch. So usually if it wasn't super busy, everyone would listen in on the call, and then someone other than me would page out, Moscow EMT, Moscow fire responding while that person is still talking to the caller, if that makes sense.
It does. So that didn't
Okay.
sound weird to you.
To me, not really, but I mean,
Okay.
I could be. I mean,
No. I think you're right because I've never heard that. I meant that genuinely. Like,
yeah. So like when people like kind of freak out and they're like, like get help here right away, and they're like, we are, but we need more information. At that same time, somebody else in dispatch is already paging and putting the call out.
well,
So I
even
don't know if
though
that helped, but
it does help, and even though you don't like the pineapple Olipop, you get a top dog for that because
thank you.
I
Thank
appreciate
you.
people who have real life experience calling in, and so thank you so much, Taylor. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Sorry for the bad recommendation.
No, you're good. So I was also in EMS and fire for about 5 years. So, and I noticed that like people have asked like, why were there so many EMTs and like why couldn't we hear any sirens and stuff? So my thought, and just my thought alone, is like, if they think it's suspicious, they'll usually have EMS stage, right? And they'll stage from like a distance away. So
Can
maybe
you
that's
explain that quick? Because I actually chat GPT'd what does that mean? Because I heard that on the
explain what?
Stage.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, like, say that there's like an active assailant somewhere, or there's like a domestic with a weapon, right? Between a
Yep.
couple. Cops will go, and they usually have to clear the scene first. So before EMS, before fire can kind of go on scene, they have to make sure that there's no weapons, that everyone's safe for like scene security. So it kind of makes sense if they had called in and said, like there's people stabbed. Um, and they're like clearing the house if EMS staged like down the street and kind of waited for their okay. And I haven't heard that. I didn't hear anything on the 911 call or anything like that. But that's just kind of what I noticed. That maybe they parked down the street, when they kind
I
of
did hear stage on
Okay.
that. So that
Okay.
makes sense then. That's why I asked
And
that.
then like not hearing like sirens, usually like if you go into like a residential area, they'll turn the sirens off. It's usually like on highways, busy streets, all that. So that might be why you don't hear any sirens.
So what is your take then? So whenever I hear people say stuff like this who have experience, I do always kind of like ground myself and I'm like, okay, I'm using my judgment, and I'm also able to say I've never actually been in that position for work, right? Like you have. So like what's your general thought on the reactions, asking for the defibrillator, and like kind of that whole next morning on the body cam, if you could sum it up?
I'll try. So the defibrillator kind of makes sense because it did come in as an unconscious person. They didn't know if they were breathing. If I remember correctly, they didn't know if they were breathing, had a pulse, whatever. So like when you're in dispatch and you're taking a call, you type in, there's like a system on the computer. So you type in whether it's unconscious, if it's a stroke, if it's a seizure, and it gives you prompts to follow and read to the caller. So that's probably why she was saying defibrillator, because it'll be like, do you have a defibrillator? Do you have AED? Do you have this, that, and the other? And it's giving you prompts to read off.
Wow.
So it's not like she's just like coming up with that from her head, just like that. It's prompts
I never knew that.
for different. So like if you pick like someone's, having an active heart attack, they'll say, okay, get a get an AED, start compressions. But if they're like just kind of laying there, they'll kind of give you like different steps. It's kind of hard to explain unless like you kind of like know about it. But basically there's just a system that does like prompts based on whatever options you choose.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Taylor. Again, sorry for the shitty Olipop recommendation for pineapple.
It's okay. I'll send an invoice.
All right. Well, I'm going to send you back to the chat. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. Cheers. All right. Next up, we got Eyed Redman. What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Oh, good. I'm really nervous.
Don't be.
But okay, my thing that has been throughout this whole thing since I've been watching you and others is, what is the common denominator for all of these kids that got killed?
It's a great
There
question.
has to be a common denominator.
Do you have a theory?
And I have my main theory is that all of them had quit the frat houses except for Ethan, and Ethan was like out of it because of his grades. Correct?
That is a common denominator. And then the survivors, correct me if I'm wrong, they were both in it.
Exactly. And so, but what really boggles my mind is all of these suspect people, like all the people at the grub truck. I think, what's her name? Huna. She
Una
had
London?
put out, yeah, she had put out something about uh, Jack's friend Ryan had put a post up, and that they were all dressed in black, and they had said this was the morning after, or the week after that weekend, and they had said something about that was the best weekend ever. And then they had as their screen name, they had they had deaf, but it wasn't spelled with an A. It was spelled D and then /E/T/H. And I don't know like what all was up with that, but then you bring up all the stuff about the cartel, the drug runners, and the informants and all that, and my thing is there has to be a common denominator in all of that too. There has to be a connection with all these suspect kids because there's too many of them. But I do think that there were multiple people that did this. I don't think that it was just a couple of people. I think there were a lot of people involved in this, and I also believe that Dylan, for I don't know why, but I just have this feeling that Dylan filmed this. She filmed a lot of this, and that the contact that she made on her phone was to send whoever asked her to do this. I mean, somebody had to be in charge of this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so
Yeah.
confusing. Like, somebody had to orchestrate this.
Like, the college age kids were just the pawns.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of those series. I don't know how people have not confirmed who this new contact is in Dylan's phone. That happens at a very, very peculiar time. You know what I mean? It's right in the middle of it, damn near. And then you got Steve G in the leaked texts for Brad Norton and him saying the grand jury member said Dylan created more questions than answers. And there's a quote, or I'm sorry, there's a text that says, quote, I think someone killed them. Do you realize that's coming from a victim's father? So
yeah, it's just there's just so much. There's so much that my head is always like every time I watch y'all or anybody else, my head is just spinning. But I keep going back to the fact that okay, in order to ever get to the bottom of this, there has to be a common denominator for everything. There always is.
well, I agree with that. And thank you so much for calling in, Redman. I appreciate you. And the common denominator, like, Redman's not wrong. That is one of the most prominent, like, common things, right? Next up, we got Kelly is the man. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put Kelly is the man up on stage. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Birdie.
All right. You're loud and clear.
Roll Tide.
War Eagle.
Had to get that one in there.
I love that.
Nobody's mentioned this, but in the stuff that's come out about all of the blood work and the testing on the blue powder.
Okay.
The blue powder was Adderall.
Are you at? Wait, say that again. You cut
The
out.
blue powder on the desk in Xana's room was Adderall.
Okay.
And that test was confirmed by the lab work. And my thought on that was Molly, because the dollar bills rolled up, the powder was crushed. She was there 15 minutes prior to 4 o'clock. That gave Xana time to get the Adderall, crush it on the desk. Also gave Dylan time to get Molly's contact number as the person who would be able to bring the Adderall to the house.
You know what's crazy is I'm going to say like the F word, right? FENT.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that? A 15-minute full effect? Maybe probably quicker. When you're snorting it.
Yeah.
So what if everybody did think they were just railing an Adderall?
And it was laced.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And then you got the OD aspect. You got Molly. I don't know. It's not a You can't even say that's a crazy theory.
It's not a crazy theory because who she is.
And also too, like there is fake Adderall out there that are press pills that even if they don't mean for that, and when I say they, the people that are making this, they don't mean for it to be, laced. You can just not clean it good enough. You don't need very much of the F to F you up.
Well, unless you see it come out of the actual prescription bottle, you don't know what it is.
Well, that's very true too, right? You're taking somebody's word for it.
And I think the Jack in the Box part is the way
hang on. What do you have to say to offline JJ that says people do not snort Adderall?
They do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. People absolutely.
Yes,
do
100%.
that.
People snort everything.
Yeah.
Lortab, Norset, or whatever. All of that is yes.
It's. I would argue it's probably in the top 3 most snorted substances.
And besides, it says that in the transcripts that Dylan saw her doing that.
Wait, well, I don't want to keep putting comments up, so now I'm confused. I've done it. It doesn't work the same. Okay, well, all right, offline JJ. You just said 2 different things.
Yeah, right.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it says so. It says Dylan saw her, or one of them saw her doing that night, or had seen her do it prior.
Yes.
So we know that was done even before then. But I just thought it was strange after I guess it's either Lana or Pav had mentioned that as far as that had been, the test came back positive for that being Adderall, the blue powder. And then that made me stop and think, oh, okay. She had enough time to get in there and crush it before all hell broke loose at 4:00.
Yeah. And people also have to understand, look, I'm not trying to sound like, a quote druggy or look, everybody that can talk on this has been around it. It takes 2 seconds. Okay. Yeah. Let's just be honest. It takes no time. So to act like this would be some giant process, if you got, a DoorDash order or whatever, and there's a Ziploc baggie with, 5-10 milligram Adderalls in it, it would literally take no time.
And it's all the walking around with the flashlight, Molly parking behind the house. Easily, Xana could have come out the back door and they could have done the trade right there in the back. And then Molly pulls around and does the DoorDash delivery to make it seem legit.
I think that one of the things I have not really leaned into is when you called Molly the delivery driver.
Right.
You know what I mean? I guess I haven't really assumed that maybe that's when the OD occurred as much as I could have. It's not that I haven't thought of it. It's just there's stuff that happens before then. So I don't know, real quick, I'm going to give you the 30-second warning here. So what do you think then about all the stuff occurring beforehand to that?
I think a lot of it could be the laced. Like you said, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And
multiple events, maybe.
Multiple events, people showing up, and then that next day, I think something happened and they all knew it. I don't think they knew that it was a quadruple homicide, but stabbings, I think the OD part maybe went out earlier and people knew it.
I think people absolutely knew what happened prior to it. And thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Birdie.
Yep.
Roll Tide.
War Eagle. I love that. I love that. It's a great point. It is a great point. There's also the aspect of it doesn't take very long for something to go terribly wrong with laced drugs. Okay. Mal, like bad intent or not. And next up, I got Spitfire Mother. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to type the name into the chat. Spitfire Mother. Put it on screen. And Spitfire Mother, what up?
Hi, can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear. How are you doing?
Good. So I have so many questions about this case. I've been following this case since day one because my daughter was the same age, and also it was like my biggest fear ever. And I just want to know, how come nobody questions why the roommates didn't call 911 for 8 hours? I mean, I know they questioned it, but how come nothing has ever been done about the fact that they never contacted 911 until noon? Why does nobody ever think about where Murphy was at the time? I think Murphy was taken and Murphy was hidden, or he was kept and then he was released back. I don't even know. I'm nervous too.
Don't be nervous,
I have so many questions.
Well, let's dive into your first question, which is, why is nobody questioning the 8-hour delay, right? Like people are questioning it, but not the people who should be in a very obvious manner, right? Like, let me ask you this. Okay, you said this was your biggest fear. I hate to put you in these shoes, but I'm going to ask any mother in the chat that has a college age daughter. If your daughter was in Dylan or Bethany's position, given everything that is kind of come out, you better expect a damn good reason. Not that you're like, I'm not saying you don't have like the whole blood is thicker than water. Like you have their back, but like deep down, it better be the best reason in the world, right? Is that how you guys would all feel? That's how I think I would feel without having, a daughter that age.
Yes, I would want to know exactly why you heard all this stuff. You were able to text your roommate. You were able to run downstairs to your roommate's bedroom. And you were able to call your friends over early in the morning to come and see what was going on. But you were not able to call 911? I mean, that just to me is they should be charged right there for negligence. That's just my thought. I also have a question about Molly. Molly definitely has something to do with this. That's just my opinion. I also have I feel like I have so many questions.
No, ask away. You still got about, a minute, 90 seconds. So. Oh, your audio went out, Spitfire. Just stop. Maybe just hold the phone still for a second and see if it picks back up. No, we lost you. Hang on one second. All right. Talk again. Are you on mute? Uh-oh. First technical difficulty. Unmute it now. Here, Spitfire, rejoin it. Rejoin it. I'm going to kick you quick. Just rejoin it. I'll pull you back up next, okay? All right. And then Leslie Carson is backstage, but Leslie, her device is not connected. So Sherlock is next on deck. So Leslie, if you hear this, I think you might just have to open up the window or activate your mic. So you got to give access to at least the microphone. But Sherlock, what's going on?
What's up, Hans? Can you hear me?
We got you loud and clear, brother man.
Hey, Han. So listen, I've been thinking you're Han Solo, and your live stream is Rebel Headquarters. First of all, let's get that established. I'm Yoda.
Nickname.
Devil's Advocates is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Sammy T Mafia is obviously Princess Leia. And all right, I'll stop. I'll say that it's really awesome to hear everybody call in and give their thoughts. I think this is really healthy, not just for our community, for the entire world, in my opinion. I think the whole world needs everybody to be able to call in and give their thoughts. I mean, it's been so long since we've been able to do this. We just need a Luke Skywalker to call it, you know?
Right.
Blow up this Idaho 4 Death Star before it's too late. That's what we need.
So let me ask you this. So everybody in here probably knows who you are, right? I mean, you put out great stuff. You've been on the round table. I've had you up in general, but even if you take the Hive out of it, right? A lot of people know who
Yeah, sure.
Sherlock is. And let me ask you this. What is your biggest red pill to people about this case if you haven't even heard anything about the Idaho 4? Because there are people that are like, oh, wait, what is that case? Like, what would you tell people first? I think about that a lot for like, if I'm ever in a situation around friends or family, my go-to is I try to talk about like the victimology, which I know you've brought up, but I'm curious if you would say the same
Yeah,
thing.
the victimology would be a great path for that. But personally, I would choose forensics. Like I would choose, I would tell them immediately, hey, this is a lone wolf, says the state. And, you know, as far as they know, one murder weapon, you know, over 100 stab wounds, 4 victims. I would just lay out those facts first. And I would talk to them about, it's called histochemical transfer methodology. That's a mouthful. Histochemical forensics. Basically, what that means is it's a type of cell forensics where you can use blood cells to determine what order people died in. You know, if there's one perp and one knife, like they're saying, you can use that methodology in forensics. They do it all the time to solve crimes. Basically, the way it works is blood cells have a high concentration of cells. So you can use this method to basically find the victim's blood cells in each other's wounds, right? So if there's one perp and one knife, then the blood DNA of victim 1 will be in the wounds of victim 2. And the blood DNA of victims 1 and 2 will be in the wounds of victim 3, and so on and so forth. And you can figure out who died first, so on and so forth. And yeah, I mean, that's the kind of forensics that I would talk about. Like, why didn't they do that? You know, they're claiming it's one person, over 100 stab wounds, 4 victims. Why would you not do histochemical cell transfer forensics to prove
and it's
that?
like, the other thing is, those are big words, right? Where you're
Well,
like,
there's
oh, that's
ways
a mouthful.
to find out is the point. There's ways to know for sure, and they didn't do any of that. So, you know, that for me, that's the big red pill thing.
I agree with that. And the other part is, on a very simplistic level, I would say, why didn't they use, like, the question that I would say to somebody that, again, is just watching Banfield talk about Koberger's Muffin Top is, why are they talking about how these jeans fit in a pair of jeans, literally, how do they fit, versus what you just said? Where's the cross contamination on a murder weapon? Where, or anywhere in the other victim's blood? So they said 2 weapons. There's 4 victims, so there has to be some cross.
Right. Yeah. Like, why would they be talking about things that don't make any sense as opposed to the things that actually matter? That's your question?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like, they're making a big deal out of nothing.
Yeah. Well, the easy answer is that talking about what I brought up would offend them. Okay. It would offend them, and it would feel disrespectful. Okay. The truth is always disrespectful to people who take money for hiding it. That's how it always works. That, in my opinion, that's what it is. It's corruption. Our media is fully corrupt, in my opinion. I think every American would do really well to catch up. And, I think a lot of people know that at this
Catch
point.
up and cope harder.
Yes.
Thank you, Sherlock.
Yes.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank
All
you
right,
for
brother.
popping on up.
Take
Have a
it
good
easy.
night. Yep.
Night,
Cheers.
Rebel headquarters. Bye.
See ya. All right. Next up, we got Thumper, formerly, I can't see the full nickname, but you are on mute, just so you know. So unmute, and then you're going to be good to go.
Hi, Bertie.
How
Love
are
your
you doing?
channel, by the way. I'm doing all right.
Good.
I
Thank you.
have a theory about this. Somebody was speaking about the common denominator. Well, the common denominator is the college. That's where I want to start, is with college. Okay, Steve G, did he go to that college or not?
Yes.
Okay, Steve G. The words that stick to me the most with Steve G is I paid that price.
Steve G did go to U of I, correct? Just now that I said that so quickly, Steve G did and Taylor did. Like, even Steve G is saying everybody in that courtroom went to U of I.
Right.
Like, it's brought up in these. Yeah. And right. Okay. So as I said that real quick, I'm like, hang on. I didn't know if that was rhetorical, but I'm also saying in his text messages that we looked over the other day, he said like almost everybody involved is a part of the college. So I think the denominator point you bring up, if you want to continue, it's valid for sure.
And then he said, he paid that price. He bought that casket. Okay. These are the two things that stick in my mind. I cannot get rid of them and I cannot shake it. But it's something to do, I believe, with somebody in the college, along with Ellie, because law enforcement is so crooked in Idaho. We've all seen that. They're covering up for somebody, but it's somebody bigger than what we can even imagine, in my opinion.
What if it's somebody who just has a secondary or a tertiary connection to one of the families from way back in the day?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. What did somebody do to make somebody mad in the upper part of the college for them to get revenge?
And can I also add to that, Thumper, is like, even if it's not revenge in the present tense, what if somebody who's now in a powerful position had one of these victims' family members, like their parents are covering for them from 15, 20, 30 years ago?
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Somebody, it's got to be somewhere in the family. Somebody did something to somebody higher up within the families to make them retaliate like this. And the kids are the ones that paid for it. Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan deserve justice.
Amen
and
to
that's
that.
what we're after. That's what we're after. We're after justice. That's why we're fighting so hard to figure out this case. But they're covering for somebody big, in my opinion.
Well said. And I think too, one of the other things is that nobody in here that can think like this, I don't believe they would. So I'm not trying to speak on behalf of you, Thumper, or anybody in the Hive. Personally, I would not waste my time on something like this if it wasn't, my common denominator with you all is I want the damn truth. I put too much
That's
time
what we
and
all
effort into
want.
this. Yeah.
That's what we all want. That's what we're fighting for, is truth and justice for Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana. They deserve it. And as far as Miss Dillon goes and her little GoFundMe, what is she trying to do? Seriously, what is she really trying to do? What does she need all that money for?
Are you
To pay
going down
somebody off?
or were you going to say lawyer fees? That was my thought.
That, or to pay somebody off?
It's a perfect time to launch it.
Exactly.
Well, that's an absolute great point, Thumper. So thank you so much for popping up, and I appreciate you being a part of the Hive. I will see you in the chat.
Thank you so much, Bertie.
Yep, thank you. All right, next up we got Ginger Peoples. How are you doing?
Hey, Bertie. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What do you got for us?
So, I'm not too far away from you. I'm in Shawano, Do you know where that is?
You fellow cheesehead.
Yes, yes.
I love that.
So I know it's crazy, but so I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about this case because have you heard of the Crandon shooting in 2007? The
Let me
Crandon
just.
massacre. The Crandon massacre.
How do you spell it? How do you spell it? Let
C
me just look.
Crandon out of Crandon, Wisconsin.
To be honest, I have not actually. So this was back in 07.
In 2007, yes. I was actually living there at that time. And a police officer massacred a bunch of kids at a homecoming party.
Holy
And this,
shit.
I know, I cannot believe that you did not hear this.
I
But
had never heard of this.
yes, you want to hear corruption? This tiny town that's not so far away from you or myself is so corrupted, and it totally reminds me of Moscow. It really does. And one of the girls that actually was murdered was having this relationship with one of the police officers. The police officer that was having a relationship with this girl, he's the one that murdered all these kids at this homecoming party. And I'm like, wow, the Idaho 4, this totally reminds me of this case. And with Kaylee, because I'm thinking, what if she was having this relationship with one of these cops? What if it's not as complicated as what we are all thinking? And it's something like really, there has to be, like that one girl, chimed in and said, there has to be a connection somewhere for these kids to end up, murdered. But in the back of my mind, I'm just like thinking about the Crandon shooting and this case, and I'm thinking it's so relatable.
I cannot believe I literally I wrote it down when you
Yeah.
just said that. And I'll keep, random notes kind of to like look into stuff. I gotta call my mom tomorrow and ask her about that. I don't know how I haven't because do you remember like the Brookfield like the massage or like right across from Brookfield Square back in the day?
Yeah. Oh
Like that
yes.
shooting. Was that in
Yes.
08, 09? Like
So
maybe a
that
little bit
was,
later?
yeah, I believe that was a little bit later.
I can't believe I've never heard of the Crandon one at
Yes,
all.
this is, you have to look this up. I mean, I would love to come on live with you and talk to you about this because I was actually living there at that time. And I know about corruption. Like I know about corrupt cops. I mean, I've been so involved in so many different things in my life and have I mean more on a personal level with this case, not the Idaho 4, but with the Crandon shooting. I was involved with somebody who was a police officer at that time. So I know, a little bit more on a personal level. And it's Idaho 4 reminds me so much of this. If Kaylee was truly having a relationship with a cop, in this, what was his name? Rosendale?
Yeah, Rosie is what people call him.
Okay. So in what? How old was that guy? Do you remember?
What is Rosie's age? I actually don't know off the top of my head. I'm sure within 5 seconds here, I'm sure it'll be right on in here, but what is Rosie's age? If anybody does know off the top of their head. I was going to say like young 30s would be my guess. I could be way off on that.
Right. I was
I see
going to say
Bubbly Waters is in here. What up, Bubbly?
Oh my gosh, Bubbly. Love her.
Bubbly's good.
She is. You're doing amazing. I want you to know that.
Thank you so much.
You should do this more often. Because it reminds me of the Zodiac. Remember when the guy, did you ever watch the Zodiac, the movie?
I've
where they
seen
had
like the Netflix series or whatever
okay,
series is out.
where they had people, call in and be like, you know, what do you think about the Zodiac killer? Where the people were calling in. I love that you're doing this. So
Well, thank you so much, Ginger Peoples, for calling up. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna put you back down into the chat, and I'm gonna make a quick comment on that. And thank you for bringing me up to speed on this tragedy that happened right here in the home state of Wisconsin. I can't
yes.
believe it because I would have been old enough. I would have been a freshman, sophomore in high school. I don't know how I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. I was thinking that something happened maybe with Rosie. Maybe he's the one that actually, you know, did something to those kids, murdered those kids. I don't know. That was that's just been in the back of my mind.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, and that's a great point. And so Bubbly had said Rosie's in his late 20s. I could see that like some. We don't have to get the exact date, but I could see like upper 20s, young 30s. Next up, we got Mary Lou, who is on stage. Which, by the way, you just came off mute. How are you doing, Mary Lou?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. What do you got for us?
I don't know if I necessarily have theories. I have more or less things that I believe are facts. I
Okay.
believe they were shot. I believe there's drugs involved. And I believe things that actually you have proven with the
Okay.
audios, the videos. I'm obsessed with this. I've been following you forever. I think I started following you on TikTok and then came here.
Love that.
A-
Thank you.
And one question I have, I guess this is a question. Why did they tear down the house before a trial? And why did they bury it? I have never heard of burying a house.
Man, you know what's crazy, Mary Lou, is like,
And why can't they dig it up?
well, and there's an NDA in place or
Well,
something
of
along those
course.
lines for
Of
however many
course.
years. But
Of course.
I don't want to take up all your time, but let me just quick answer that. When you
Please
talk
do.
about when you talk about, excuse me, tearing down the house and then burying it, that means that whatever evidence is there is
Mm-hmm.
probably not just blood.
Oh, of course.
That's
Of
my
course.
first thought. So I don't know if you have
Yep.
anything to say on that, like bullet
No, I
holes in the
totally
walls.
agree. I totally agree. Like, and the whole thing makes me upset because we all know there's major problems in this thing. Major, major, major. And I just wanted to say hi to you. I wanted to tell you there's things
Thank
I
you so
believe are
much.
actually true. That I believe is so true. The audio, the videos. I mean, it's proof. How can it not be?
Well, and also you have like the quote rumors about people being shot. Look,
Yeah.
you can't just take some of the things that the G family says
Mm-hmm.
and then ignore others. It's not even
Right.
coming at the G's. That's like
No.
that's like people want to dig in. I go live every night for 2 hours. Do you know how many hours of me talking on YouTube or TikTok there are? Can I possibly
Exactly.
remember everything that I've said? No,
No.
I can't. But I can remember my general, like, what's the gist that I'm trying to say? And if you were to apply that quote general gist to the G's, especially with their latest live, in my opinion,
Yes.
they're not happy with what happened in
Of
any
course
way.
No. And I don't know if they've known from the beginning, but I think Steve knows something now for sure. Not
Well,
necessarily maybe from the beginning, but definitely now, if not from the beginning.
I think that's a great take, and thank you so much, Mary Lou, for not only
Thank
being
you.
an OG hiver from TikTok, but also
Yes.
following us over here. And thank you for the call. And I hope you have a great night.
You were awesome. I love you guys.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you so
Bye.
much, Mary Lou. Bye bye. All right, we got Fiji on stage. What's going on, Fiji? Good to see you.
Hey you. So quickly I was gonna your earlier uh person on there, they said that Dylan's boyfriend went to college there, but he didn't. He lived in Boise. But it was
Quinn.
rumored that Quinn. It was rumored that he was at the Sigma Chi party that evening. And I saw that at several places. I don't know if anyone else had seen that. And he was there at 12 o'clock when the police were there. And Evidently, his truck was there seen that night at, I believe, at the food truck, but I'm not sure about that part. But it's
And
very
just so sorry, and I'll give you this time back, just so everybody knows, that's the diesel truck that people allegedly hear. They don't hear. There's everybody sees like what did you Maddie, what did you tell Adam is a white truck, but then Quinn drives the black truck that also diesel engine, just
right.
for background, right?
Yep. And Boise is quite a ways away. I think it's like 3 hours away. So it's not, it might be longer than that. It might be 4 hours, but
34. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So it's not something he would have, and it had been snowing, and there's more snow in Boise coming, towards Moscow, so it would have been slower coming that way. You have to go over several passes, you know. So anyhow, very strange that he would have made it there, supposedly to be there at the time the police were there. It was rumored, like I said, he was there the evening. Very suspicious, as also he was as a known soldier for the cartel and Aryan. I'm not sure if it's the cartel or the Aryan Knights, but I'm
A
assuming,
criminal network, you can say.
yeah, a criminal network. Yeah, exactly. So he was a runner, a soldier.
And how old
Um,
is Quinn, by the way? Is he the same age as Dylan? Like, is he above college age? I don't know off the top of my head. Same thing with like Rosie. Does anybody, not that it matters that much, but it's like he's clearly,
well,
a young
Rosie,
adult.
Rosie
But
was a police officer in Bellingham. He was SWAT. He did SWAT in Bellingham, the Bellingham Police Department for quite a few years, and he had several complaints, evidently, um, that I'd looked into.
but what about age for Quinn? Do you know?
I have no idea. I
Early
don't
20s,
know.
Bubbly says.
I heard that they went to school together, but I don't know. I don't know.
So,
But
what do you think happened if you had to sum it up, like the elevator pitch question that I've kind of been asking people? Like, okay, so there's connections, there's people that are allegedly in town that are not, that their timeline, even if just to get back in town for the next day.
okay, so to be real quick, being a mom of a son that I was in charge of the Greek page for his fraternity at WSU. Um, it's very typical when you're junior, senior, both sorority and fraternities, your affiliates. You don't live in there unless you have no life. You move on out, right? And you have an affiliation. Doesn't cost as much. It's the freshmen, sophomores that do that, right? And only freshmen do that if it's not a wet house, right? So
Are you saying not a wet house in what way?
meaning a wet house is where you can have alcohol in it, like alcohol for a fraternity, like
You're
WSU.
saying from an alcohol standpoint, like there's a dry campus, there's a wet campus. Okay, I gotcha.
Well, there's some fraternities that are wet, some are dry.
Yep.
And so, yeah. So if it's dry, then freshmen can be, but the freshmen, even though they're the ones that do the clean up, but junior senior year, it's very typical that they're done. They've moved on. Once they get into the bars, they don't want to hang out with young kids, right? It's kind of a grown up type thing. So it's totally not unusual for that to have happened for these kids to have done that. Um, so, but I do think if I do believe it's a drug. I think I've had clients in the past as therapists that were part of the cartel. They would go in. It was blood in, blood out, and they always went in with 3 to 4 people for hits. Always, sometimes 5. And, um,
Oh,
sounded like a
we
professional hit. Am I gone?
nope. You're here. It sounds like you went into underwater. But I was gonna say, like, so Fiji. Oh shoot! Dang it! The mic went. I
No,
can't.
I'm good. My phone's the same. But so whether it's there or not, I don't know.
And Fiji. I don't know if you can hear me. it was like good for 2 seconds, bad for 10. I'm sorry that I just had to do that. It was great for the first half of that call. So I'm so sorry. The last call that I'm going to do here for this evening, it's actually my first time talking to Bubbly Waters. Bubbly Waters is one of the first people that I really started to tune into when I came over to YouTube amongst a handful of others. So I'm actually really honored to have Bubbly up here on stage as a caller. So I'm going to go ahead and add Bubbly here. How are you doing?
Hey, hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me okay?
We got you loud and clear.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you for popping up.
Sure. So I want to ask you a question. How come you haven't delved into the EcoShield?
As far as the company that a bunch of people have allegedly worked for or not worked for.
Well, yeah, if they work at all, right? That type of work you
Right.
mean? I mean, they're there, but just what do they do? I don't know.
Well, and so I've heard that come up, and Bubbly, we could take just because this will be the last call, and I know you got a plethora of information. Not saying that anybody else in here doesn't, but just for the last call, it's a great topic. I've always heard this Eco Shield, the Echo Shield, from people that really have been into the weeds since day one. So can you give a little background on that for people that might not know?
Well, from what I can tell, it is possibly set up through the university. It's really the owners. It's kind of, you're trying to find those. I mean, they're kind of here and there, but it's kind of like almost a franchise. They each are different from each state and city or wherever they pop up at. But it's a pest control. So it's basically the stuff to spray on whatever you want to spray it on to get rid of it. And it's supposedly safe for animals and for humans. And if you want to go look at the Better Business Bureau, you'll find out that that is not the case, and that they also charge what they want and don't give you. I mean, they just keep on charging you, even though you back out of it or whatever. And
Do you think
they
it's a
pressure a
front?
lot. What's that?
Do you think that it could be like a front company?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Well,
I
not to
mean,
mention that all the people over there, they're teaching them how to fly planes and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're all about 3 or 4 of them I know for sure have gotten their pilot's license since they've been there. And so Jack Showalter was there.
Yep.
Mason was there. There's 3 or 4 of the guys that are doing the DNA tests that are EcoShield guys. That's pretty odd.
And do you know, so with kind of saying like, okay, so the campus, and Bubbly, you might know more. You probably do know more. But my thought is like, what is the intro to this company for these kids? Is it a career fair? Is it who has the ties that could hire them?
I thought at first that it was the elite, the rich ones, or the ones that, because there's one of them in there now with his brother, who is heavily into the legislate. I mean, big time. Like he's up there. And then there's a couple other guys. But what I've boiled it down to is I think they're the troublemakers. I think they're the ones that have gotten in trouble. And I think they ship them like a ranch, like the little, tough love type things. I almost feel like that's what they do. Now you work your asses off for this amount of time. And then, of course, we're going to give you this. We're going to give you a place to stay and we'll feed you and stuff. But you're going to work your butt off for whatever you make. And then you go back to school for how many months and you're going to be good. You're going to get your grades. You're going to do what you're supposed to do. And you're going to come out of this on top, right? Now, that's that's part of my speculation. I mean, there's so many avenues when it comes to this. It's tough.
I agree. And so can you, for the sake of this call, knowing that we can go down a bunch, if there's anybody that knows that we can go down a bunch of alleys, it's not only people that have looked into this from day one, but also just the conspiracy enthusiasts like myself. So it's like with this company. So let's say it is the tough love camp. They get sent off, they go there, they work. They're like, hey, you're going to be given this, primo territory, making 6 figures, whatever it is. You just got to put your time in, whatever it may be. Can you now tie this back into not just the cover up, not just the people involved, but like maybe how the murders are staying quiet per se?
Well, I believe it's basically an umbrella for the company that Kaylee was going to work for. So whatever Kaylee knew could possibly.
And Echo Shield is in Texas. They have a place there.
Texas, Arizona, San Diego. They're all up their franchise, but mainly the guys from the U of I, they hang out there where Kaylee was going to be. Yeah.
Man. So can I ask you this? I know this is the first time that we've chatted, like I said, but in general, I would love to, co-host a stream with you, as you have been somebody that I've watched and that I've learned a lot from. But in general, if you had to sum up a theory, like a bar stool pitch, an elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it, where it comes down to like who, what, where, when, and why, in a minute or less. If somebody said, I don't know shit about the Idaho 4, what are you telling them?
I tell them, though, you want your head to spin and fly off your shoulders for a minute. I literally could not sum it up, because I'm telling you, I've been in that position before. I mean, last year I went to a Thanksgiving supper, and one of the girls there, she was a nurse at Wazoo, and she literally she knew nothing about it. All she knew was that this guy was in jail. I mean, they knew nothing about him. They thought he's guilty as sin. I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. And it's crazy.
I don't know if you have how many of the Hive streams you've tuned into, but in the summertime, like Mrs. Birdie and I, we'll go up north, and there was this group of people that rents out the cabin next door, and there was like 20 of us, and it just so happened to kind of be around like the random plea hearing, and we were talking about this. I'm okay with sounding like a psycho, but it's also a little bit intimidating around strangers in person when they have no idea about anything else. No documents, no nothing. They're going off of Amazon. They're going off of Dateline. It's rather terrifying for people like me and you and people in here to think about. This is a world stage case. Can you imagine if this was in a small town? And I don't know about what motivates you to keep diving into this other than like the truth, but I always think about like it could literally be any of us. And the headlines F you.
Well, I know Idaho because I was born there. So I understand.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I mean, I moved away at a younger age, but thank God. But yeah, I know about all those little things that people talk about, like the tunnels and the lead and all that stuff. That's true. That is absolutely true. Now, with that said, it might not be tunnels everywhere underneath everything, but it's a mining state. There's mines everywhere, and there are holes in mountains. There's holes in hills. There's freaking old. I mean, we were told when we were younger, in the fields, don't play in this area because there's a well that's in the ground that you could fall into, or don't go over here. And another thing that we were told is to watch out for people who tried to get us to go in a car or whatever. Even when I at that young age, that was 50 years ago, and we were warned about the abduction. So it's not something new at all.
So
and just imagine that many years on top of that, how strong that has become, and how easy it's become for with the social media.
Idaho really is a portal to hell, isn't it, Bubbly?
Yeah,
it's been a portal to hell.
That's how it feels.
Steve G wasn't lying when he said it's time to put Idaho on the map. If anything, he just like spawned a giant, literal like crosshair onto Idaho of this is a giant portal to a bunch of nefarious BS.
Yeah, the sleeve stack came up from underneath the ground.
Oh my God. Well, thank you for popping up last minute. Bubbly, I got to get you on the stream in general. I don't know. Here, if you watch the replay or if you just, fast forward, I'm going to type my email in. Actually, well, I'll type this one more time. I'm switching emails, guys. I got to get rid of the birdieBombshell00@gmail.com. But
yeah, I can just screenshot it. So
yeah. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. birdieBombshell00@gmail.com. I'd love to have you on for a full stream. And thank you for popping up. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put you back down, Bubbly. We will chat soon,
right,
hopefully.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Man, Hive, let me just say, from as genuine as I can say it, that was one of the best streams that I've ever done. Seriously, that was by far the most stimulating, the most fun, the most interesting, that you get to hear everybody's thoughts. Everybody's well-spoken. Everybody's so genuine and smart. It's awesome. So shout out to you guys. The entire Hive tonight gets the top dog. Can you guys just quick type a 1? Was that easy enough for you all? Did you all feel like you had enough time to say what you wanted to? I feel bad Fiji's mic cut out. And other than that, and maybe the echo in the beginning, I personally, as a host, it was very smooth for me running that. So thank you for all understanding, the time limit, but we got through a shit ton of people there. And how powerful is that? I'm not vetting anybody before they come up here. That link is pinned. So, I'm going to do this more often, and I'm so glad that it went well tonight. I hope everybody has a phenomenal rest of their evening, gets some great rest, goes out, crushes their day tomorrow. I will be back here tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central. Cheers, everybody.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.